Welcome everyone to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue, and we have a very special spoiler warning for you, particularly special because it's Spoiler Warning, and Spoiler Warning is always a special show. We are jam-packed full of spoilers and full of news, and of course we'll always be the old Q&A format that you all know. Today we're going to be talking about Roman Reigns, about Sami Zayn, about Dave Meltzer currently being watched. I've got a lot to say about the WWE Sold debacle and how that emerged. A lot to say on that. I'm going to break down who the top names for each side are backstage at the moment. Plans for Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair having re-emerged. But our big story, our big number one news story is the return of Vince McMahon, and already he has started to interfere in creative plans. One major match for WrestleMania is a match that he is desperate to see made, and it seems like he's not willing to take no for an answer. So be sure to hit like. Every thumbs up makes a massive difference. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be saying so across the course of the show. You guys know this. You guys know how this works by now, and let's start jumping into it. So the first big piece of news, thank you very much, Michael. I thought I'd like to jump into it, but that's a wonderful distraction to have. Michael renewing for a 23rd month. Only a handful of days, in fact one day, after we turned 24 months old as a channel in general. Only 1 month later, we were monetized on Twitch. Michael was right there on that day to celebrate. Thank you kindly, Michael. Pardon me. So our first piece of news, and of course our biggest piece of news, is as regards the interference of Vince McMahon. Now, I already reported several days ago, I believe it was a week ago, that we were already in a position where Vince McMahon had made several creative pitches. It was up to Triple H whether they were listened to, and it seemed as though they were not going to be. However, regardless of this, Vince McMahon continues to pitch, and there are a number of different options on the table that he has laid down for anyone to pick up. Nobody wants to pick them up at this point in time. There is one particular match that Vince would very much like to pivot back to that has been pivoted away from, something that he has suggested a number of times, and it involves two big name stars in the women's division, Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. These are the reports coming out of the WWE as regards Vince's involvement in WrestleMania. A week ago, I said he was making pitches. Suddenly, it's one of those stories that you're starting to see everyone else pick up and throw about as if it was something they were the first ones to say. Suddenly, we're hearing that Vince McMahon is getting involved, sticking his oar in. Becky versus Ronda, first thing on the docket is what I'm hearing personally. There are other WrestleMania match options being considered. Charlotte Flair's name keeps coming up, and there'll be more on that shortly. But as regards our first piece of news, Vince McMahon is making pitches for the Royal Rumble to lead to matches at WrestleMania. The favourite for the Royal Rumble for the majority of time has been Becky Lynch. Rhea Ripley picked up a lot of momentum due to a report stating that she'd be facing Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Ronda Rousey, no longer the champion, certainly raises question marks about that, suggesting that Becky Lynch may be getting her big moment again. More on Charlotte and Bianca later, more on Bray Wyatt, Cody Rhodes, etc. to come. Let's jump into the chat and see what people are saying and see what questions we can answer in the meantime. Be sure to hit thumbs up. 43 says, hello Tom, according to Dave Meltzer, Bray Wyatt will be taking on Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania. Now I did mention in the chat here, I've read the quote, looks to me like it's been massively spun into something that it's not. From what I can tell, this is Dave Meltzer's opinions, this is Dave Meltzer reading the signs, this is not an official report of any kind, this is nothing backstage. Bray Wyatt versus Uncle Howdy seems to be very much Bray Wyatt not just creating his own world, but populating it with his own people. It is very disappointing to me if that is to be the case, because the storyline is very self-involved if so, and I would just be a little disappointed if that's where they head. At the same time, after the Wrestling Inc. report, Dave Meltzer is sort of being watched by a lot of different wrestling media outlets at the moment. That said, while Dave Meltzer is being watched, they are still reporting everything that he says, including his opinion as reports, which tells me a lot about how upset they were to find that he'd been proven easily duped. Nas says, hey Tom, hope you're having a great day. Your titles and thumbnails for spoiler warning always make me laugh. Been seeing speculation about Roman being stripped of the WWE title. Any truth to this? Nas, I need a source for that. I think I know who the source is going to be, and I think I'm not going to like it. But what's your source for that? Daz has renewed as a channel supporter. Thank you kindly, Daz. If you would like to be a channel member or a channel supporter on YouTube, by all means, just jump straight in. You'll find videos there that you can't find anywhere else. There was a breakdown of the Bray Wyatt news as it came out. There will be one about Sasha Banks coming shortly as regards how that story evolved leading up to the new year. FDR says, hello Tom, 6 a.m. in Malaysia. Hope you're feeling great. Feeling fantastic. Thank you. Mick Henno says, completely crazy everything. Not sure what you're referring to, but also mood. On the Twitch side, Cool Hands is here, thrashing about. Spider-Boss says, hi Spoiler Warning Nation. I hope Vince doesn't ruin the 2023 Royal Rumble. SmackDown was doing well last Friday until the DQ ending during the main event. It was for a storyline purpose. I forgive them. Wrigley says, yo, 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 yo. Welcome, mate. Omega says, Tom. Doesn't say my surname, which is confusing for Omega. Spider-Boss does still surprise me that the Elite won gold. Doesn't surprise me in the slightest. It's business as usual, and as soon as they were back, so were their championships. Simon says, any news on Sasha? Nope. Simon says, any live news? Nope. Brad Becker says, hi Tom, and spoiler warning, I hope everyone is well. Don't forget to hit the like button to help this group to continue to grow. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate that. Appreciate so many people in the chat lately really trying to keep that train going, allowing me to focus on what I'm doing, while at the same time ensuring that I get a few more likes. We have 70 viewers and 20 likes right now. Every thumbs up makes a massive difference. Mick says, congrats by the way for the 2,000. Well deserved, finally. Thank you, Mick. Appreciate that. That was our target for year end. We didn't quite make it, but we really weren't far away either. We're currently at 2,029 subscribers, a brand new record, and it means that for every day so far of 2023, we have averaged 5 or more subscribers. If we can keep that up, we will be flying, and we'll definitely hit 5k by year end. Joey says, hi Tom, the Vince news is very worrisome. How long will it be until he fires Triple H and fully takes over creative? Very much speculation at this point in time. From what I can tell, the suggestions that he's making are not automatically being considered and are not automatically going to be taken in. Jaden says, hey Tom. Hey Jaden. Carmelina says hi. Hello Carmelina. Carlos Cologne says, will Vince do what is best for business or what is best for Vince? According to Vince McMahon, whatever is best for Vince McMahon is best for business. His entire focus right now is ensuring that he gets the payout that he believes he is entitled to. And to be fair, it's the one time I can't argue with him. He built the company. He built the stock price. He has 81% of the voting power. He is entitled to that money. Jaden is asking about Mercedes updates. Not at this point in time, no. Jaden says, any updates on Charlotte Flair and the plan for the SmackDown Women's Championship? Rhea Ripley is still a name being bounced around for a rematch between Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, but Beth Phoenix seems to be in the horizon for Rhea Ripley, either for Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania. Becky Lynch is another one who has been mentioned as a potential challenger to Charlotte Flair, with Becky and Seth moving over to SmackDown to face off against, for example, Roman, Liv, Ronda, etc. across the course of the next year. That said, I wouldn't be too surprised to see Bayley pop up in that one. Oh, Venom's on holiday in London. That's a shame. London, not the best place in the world. Not the best. It's very busy. Christoph, welcome. Says, hi Tom, nothing wrong with that in my opinion. After all, he's chairman again. As long as Hunter still has the final say, I'm fine. I don't mind pitches. And I do feel I need to point this out because so many people heard about a pitch and they were furious and they could not forgive him. Pitches are fine. It's up to Triple H. That's the important thing. Hello Barry, how you doing? Boss says, it wouldn't surprise me if Vince pitched Becky versus Ronda. He did want to see that one happen after all. Joey says, is Vince already trying to change the show? I saw a report that Raw was rewritten before tonight's show. No. To my knowledge, there was no Vince McMahon rewrite of Raw. However, there was a meeting, according to Brian Alvarez, of the talent before Monday Night Raw. Chances are that's the Raw equivalent of the meeting that they had on SmackDown. So SmackDown were reassured in person. Raw have now been reassured in person. These meetings are just a formality to basically say business as usual. Jaden is asking about a Raw watch-along. After the Royal Rumble, there will be one. After WrestleMania, there'll be one. They will not be happening every week. Shogun, welcome. Says, hi, Tom. How are you? Long time no see. Happy New Year. Keep up the good work you do and show us the way. Thank you, Shogun. Good to see you, mate. Welcome back. Venom says, no matter where I am, I'll never miss Tom. Aww. Kind of romantic. Bit weird. Daz says, what's next for Seth, Tom? Is there anything announced for him for tonight? They tend not to announce Raw too much in advance. A large part of that is just to be as excited as possible about what Seth's going to do, because he is one of the stars of that show, after all. Richard says, hello, Tom and all. Hello, Richard. Eric says, with Vince being back, does that hurt MJF coming? No, because MJF wasn't coming. Venom says, if he wants it bad enough, he's just going to force his idea on Triple H. Yeah. We all know that. We all know that. That doesn't mean he's going to do it, but if he does want it bad enough, he will. Shogun says, did the Pitch Black match will be the rebirth of The Fiend with some kind of new reincarnation of him after the match? No, in no way, shape or form. This is a story of Bray Wyatt. It is not the story of The Fiend, but there will be information about The Fiend as it comes out. You see, in order to get to the new evolved version of Bray Wyatt, they have to say goodbye to the Bray Wyatt of years past. Hence why we saw the reincarnation of the rocking chair this week on SmackDown. We will see some of The Fiend. However, The Fiend is already earmarked for the Wyatt 6 rather than to be its own individual distinct character. No, Michael. Vince is not about to fire Triple H and take over creative. That is not what I'm reporting. What I'm reporting is that Vince McMahon is making pitches for the Royal Rumble to try and change the plans and try and change the plans for WrestleMania. I need to be clear there. I am not pitching. I am not stating that anyone is about to be fired. Richard says, is anyone surprised that Vince has taken over creative yet? Nobody seems particularly surprised of all of this. After all, it's Vince McMahon. This be what he do. Slowly but surely, he is regaining the same control that he had previously. After all, he's now chairman of the board once again. What happens next is a big question mark. And honestly, it's a very difficult one to keep track of. Anyone stating right now that this is going to happen or that is going to happen, you have to take it with a pinch of salt, because as much as anything else, Vince McMahon himself has not decided what changes he's going to make to the company yet, but he is making business and financial changes already. No, Shogun, I do not have contact with 2K, guys. I'd love to have some. I do not personally have any. There are definitely areas in which I don't have sources. I have very little in AEW, for example. When I do have news, I share it, but I try and be as transparent as possible and say, nope, sorry, nothing. Marcel says, hi, Tom. Hey, Marcel, how you doing? Ghost says, hi, Tom and chat. Hope everyone's doing well. So, Vince is doing Vince things. How shocking. Shocked, heartbroken, stunned at the idea that this may happen. Vince McMahon has walked back into the WWE, and to no one's surprise, he has declared himself victorious again after all. Omega says, Dave Meltzer reporting Vince will be on, that Raw will be on USA Network tonight, big if true. Jaden is talking to Simon. Harry says, hi sir, Tom of Colohue. How are you? Very well, thank you, Harry. Very well. Asuka says, any significant plans for Liv Morgan? She is getting a significant storyline going into the Royal Rumble. The intention with the WWE is to have her as the primary red herring. Now, when it comes to Money in the Bank, the intention for Liv Morgan was to be the primary red herring. And she ended up winning the thing because of some last-minute changes, particularly as regards Cody Rhodes not being the big hero to win the briefcase at that time. This is a very interesting one to play, because Liv Morgan right now, a lot of people think she's been buried. That absolutely has not happened. There are some big plans for her, including at least, at the moment, a big storyline. Sam does not want to see Ronda as champion. FDR says, did you hear anything on Brock Lesnar apparently requesting for Vince to book his matches? Nope, that has not happened. That has simply not happened. Obviously, Brock and Vince are very close, but Vince didn't book Brock's matches anyway. That hasn't happened. By and large, Brock Lesnar books his own matches on the fly in the ring. Vince McMahon has never booked Brock matches. So the idea that he's asking Vince to book his matches again is absolutely untrue. Hector says, another main roster weekly show, another talent meeting. If you have to reiterate that you're in charge and not Vince, maybe you're not really in charge as much as you actually realise, which isn't good news. FDR Sportskeeda article. Sportskeeda will not have been the source on that one. I need to know the actual source. Please, if you can double check for me. Randall says, sucks to see Finn and the rest of the Judgment Day push might come to an end. It's not coming to an end. It's barely even started. It's not coming to an end. They'll get a tag team championship opportunity and then Edge will be back in the picture. Thank you, Omega. Joey says, zero news. Reported that Vince was given the green light to return. Is he going to return at the 30th anniversary show next week or the Rumble? So in order to answer that, I need to assume that zero news are correct. So here's what I'm going to do. Thomas Phipps says, hi Tom, so what have I missed about Vince? Well, the latest headline, of course, is that Vince is getting as involved as possible. A week ago, I reported this initially upon Vince's return, that it was actually Tuesday. Yeah, it was Tuesday. That he'd already started making pitches for creative. He is now making pitches for the Royal Rumble, which would affect WrestleMania matches. Nelson says, sorry I keep repeating myself, but the new allegations coming, is it your opinion or they're really coming? I have stated previously that there are more reports about Vince McMahon, accusations, allegations made against him coming over the next few weeks. This has been reported by Wade Keller of PWTorch. Juan says, nobody going to say no to Vince if he takes over. Even if he keeps his position, H will not go against his father-in-law's suggestions. Not true, because there is already significant pushback on the suggestions that Vince is making from Triple H. Tristan says, hey Tom, what's up? How you doing? Doing very well, thank you Tristan. Welcome to the show. Noob says, seems like Vince is desperately wanting to be head of creative. He has ideas. Spiderboss says, Vince trying to get involved in creative, it starts becoming a nightmare. So many talent meetings worry me. Me too. This for me is not a secure position when you have to keep telling people things aren't going crazy. But a lot of that does come down to the reports about the Saudi Arabia sale, which wasn't. Simon says, very hopefully Triple H doesn't listen to any of Vince's creative and pitches going forwards, especially for Becky versus Ronda. Bailey says, perhaps more serious than Vince firing Triple H. When will he fire Nick Khan? He won't. He hired him for a reason. Martin says, hello, good sir. Hope you're doing well. Come once again to ask if there is any news on Chelsea Diona or Nick Aldis. Not at this point in time. There has been further contact with Nick Aldis, though. Things are looking promising there. Ray says, I was so happy to see Mickie James win the Impact Wrestling Knockout title at Hard to Kill. Spiderboss says, why does Vince keep insisting with Becky versus Ronda? Thomas says, what are the matches being planned for the Royal Rumble? Only 4 matches have been announced, and at this point in time, only those 4 matches are likely. At least at this point in time. Tristan says, will Vince McMahon make a special surprise appearance? I don't know. I've not heard that that's going to happen. Christoph says, Ronda versus Becky. How? Ronda isn't champ anymore and Charlotte is now feuding with Sonya. Tells you how out of touch Vince has sadly become. I don't know how he wants it to happen, but he wants it to happen. He has several months to do so. After all, let's not forget that before the Royal Rumble in 2001, neither Stone Cold Steve Austin nor The Rock were the WWE champion, and yet that was the main event for WrestleMania. Carmelina says, I've seen that Mustafa Ali is going against Solo. He's going to get murdered. Yep. That's the intention. That is very much the intention. Spiderboss says, which legends could appear in the 30th anniversary of Raw? Quite a number have already been confirmed for it, have already been spoken to. I would not be surprised to see Ron Simmons after all. Martin says, do you have any idea of Vince's reaction to losing Mercedes? No, there wasn't much of a reaction. He wasn't there at the time, and he didn't really talk to anyone about it. Simon says, Triple H is really great, awesome creative genius, gave us Alexa's Playground and the brilliant Dark Alexa character in 2020-2021. Nope. He absolutely did not do that. That was Vince McMahon, that was Bray Wyatt, and that was Alexa Bliss. Vince McMahon essentially let Bray Wyatt set his terms. Alexa Bliss was very invested in the character, wanted to work with him, started working with him, and before you knew it, we had a plan. Thomas says Sean Ross Sapp has confirmed that the meeting was the same as it was on SmackDown. Yep, Sapp confirming what I said at the beginning of the show there. Venom says, is the Fiend returning? We will see the Fiend. That doesn't mean it's returning. This is a new Bray Wyatt. We will not be seeing the Fiend wrestling as the same character that he was. Yes, Sean, there was a talent meeting at Raw today. Barry says, are you saying Vince is putting himself in the running to be Miss World? Obviously, that is exactly what I'm saying. Ghost says the only matches segments announced for Raw include Ali versus Solo, Alpha Academy versus Judgment Day. Well, Alpha Academy again squashed. And something involving Bobby Lashley. Pardon me. The rebirth of Bobby Lashley continues. he will be getting pushed pretty hard. When I talk about the top names on both sides, his name may be one of them. Tristan says, who will be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year? We'll start hearing the first names in and around the Royal Rumble, which is the same time I would expect we start to see the first trailers for 2K23. Venom says, I saw a poll on Facebook with Rhea being the favourite to win, Liv being the runner-up, and Chelsea Green returned at number 3. Cool. Noob says, do you think that Bray Wyatt is Uncle Howdy as evidence in his promo on Friday night? No, Bray Wyatt is not Uncle Howdy. Bray Wyatt was playing the part of Uncle Howdy. However, a different person is now playing that role. Henry, welcome. Says, hello, I actually think having Vince back isn't a bad thing. I know many won't agree. Many won't agree, but you're certainly entitled to your opinion, Henry, and it is very welcome here. It is important, I feel, to have multiple sides of the argument. This is why we are the most well-informed chat in wrestling, because we are open to different views. Hello, Jordan. How you doing, mate? Joey says, do you have any news on the tag belts? Are they splitting them up since SmackDown is having a tournament? It is very possible, including, in fact, very likely, that the Usos successfully defend against both competitors. I believe this is a red herring. They will successfully defend against both, and it will just be a way to help sell the idea that we're not getting Sami Zayn versus and Kevin Owens versus Usos at WrestleMania. We are. Simon, as regards Bianca, more on that shortly. Henry believes Vince was a trendsetter. Obviously, the rumours about his private life aren't good. Not necessarily rumours, mate, Henry. If you're not already aware, please do check out my video on the subject. It's in the video section from a couple of months ago, detailing a lot of accusations that have been made against Vince McMahon, a lot of which have already been proven fact, and a lot of which come from a lot of different sources. Max says, I can't see Vince being back and not being involved in the creative for WrestleMania. Neither can he. Spider-Boss says, would surprise me if Liv ends up winning the Women's Royal Rumble. It would surprise me. That's not the plan. Henry is hoping that even if Vince sells, he'll be part of WWE. Shogun says, thank you for responding to all my questions, Tom. Really deserve a big thumbs up. I give a thumb up every time when I see spoiler warning when I watch it after the live. I appreciate that, Shogun. A lot of people actually watch this show on catch-up, which I did not realise at the time. But the actual view duration, like the average viewer length, is longer after the fact, which is incredible and not something I would expect for a live show. There are literally hundreds of people who watch this show after it airs, and I am amazed by the amount of people who've been watching recently. As always, I'll take this opportunity to say a massive thank you. Simon says, do you see Liv Morgan possibly as the Iron Woman of the Royal Rumble match? Yes, I also see that of the other 29. Henry says, you can't have a Raw anniversary show and not have Vince. He will be there. You absolutely can. Connor says, hey Tom, hope your day's been good. Any knowledge on where they're going with Liv's character? As I said earlier, just to recap on that one, the intention with Liv Morgan right now is to give her a solid storyline going into the Royal Rumble. She will be looked at as the primary red herring to confuse things and make you think that Becky and or Rhea are not likely to pick up the win. However, she was also expected to be the primary red herring going to the Money in the Bank match, which she won because the WWE, Vince specifically, decided that they needed a big babyface win and they no longer had Cody Rhodes as an option. Peter is excited to see the Cobra Clutch again. Tristan says, who is Bray Wyatt fighting at WrestleMania 39? At this point in time, I do not have a name. Venom says, I hope the Usos lose one of the tag belts in these tournaments. Do you think they lose at least one? Nope. Sean says, oh no, Vince is pitching to have Rock win the Rumble, isn't he? Doesn't matter what Vince pitches, he's been pitching to have the Rock return for 4 years now, and it hasn't happened. Dad says, who do you think will appear on Raw next week, Tom? Most of the people who are currently registered to the Raw section. Henry says, why are people upset if the Saudi Arabia king buys the WWE? They have the money. Because it's not about money. It's about human rights violations and the fact that the Saudi Arabian government is regularly murdering people in Yemen. At least those are the reports that are coming out. To my knowledge, and I'm going to preface this with the phrase, to my knowledge, it was proven fact that they beheaded a journalist for being negative about them. I don't watch Saudi Arabia shows. I also feel very, very bad when it comes to supporting any company involved with Saudi Arabian ownership. For example, Facebook, and to be fair, also kind of Twitter. Harry says, Tom, how's your day going so far? And what is your favourite Royal Rumble match? Mine is 2008 Royal Rumble because two legends returned, Jimmy Snuka and Roddy Piper. My favourite Royal Rumble remains 2020 when it was won by Drew McIntyre, specifically because of the use of Brock Lesnar. Venom says, if Rhea wins the Rumble and we get Rhea versus Charlotte, do you think she bests Charlotte for the title, becomes Grand Slam champ, also to be her revenge? Not necessarily, no. After all, they're still trying to solidify Charlotte as a face now. Wrestler Fan says, is Bad Bunny likely for the Royal Rumble? Yes, he is. The ink isn't dry on the contract. I don't believe a contract has been signed for it, but Bad Bunny has expressed interest if he is available. We'll see what the availability is. Wiggly says, when is Asuka back? When she chooses to. Shogun says, any news about Karrion Kross feuding with someone for WrestleMania? I gotta be blunt, I don't believe that Karrion Kross is going to make the WrestleMania card. I simply don't believe it. I think he'll be in the Battle Royal. Spider-Boss says, do you see Liv Morgan winning the Royal Women's Rumble? No. Sean says, if Vince is trying to get back into creative, does that mean he's not happy with the product? Yes, it does. He's making these pitches because he's not happy with what's happening on screen. Christoph says, Dave reported Cody isn't coming back at the Rumble. Interesting. But he also reported Doudrop was off TV because her visa expired, which she denied herself when asked her, so, you know. True. With the way they are building Cody right now, my expectation is very much that he'll be back for the Rumble. I've been assured that Cody Rhodes will be back in absolutely no time, and I first reported at the Hell in a Cell match that Cody Rhodes would be back in time for the Rumble. Here he is. Venom says, oh, I've lost a few things there. I'm going to have to roll back. Venom says, Ronda versus Becky doesn't need the belt. They need to start having more not-in-title women's matches. Agreed. Nelson says, do you think Mickie James makes a Rumble appearance? Nope. Tristan says, will Uncle Howdy take his mask off and reveal himself eventually? Eventually is a very long time. He may do that in 10 years. Eventually is a very long time. Simon, I don't know Becky or Ronda. I can't answer that question. Noob says, what are the plans for Asuka coming back as we're getting close to the Royal Rumble? She'll be in the Royal Rumble. Martin says, Tom, from the current generation of WWE wrestlers, who do you see becoming a Hall of Famer? I know it's pure speculation, but I'd like to see your opinion. There's a lot of people who are in a very good position to potentially become Hall of Famers in the future. All of the four horsewomen certainly will be definite Hall of Famers. All of the Shield. And yes, all of them are very likely to be in that category as well. It's just the fact that we are way off any of that happening. Sean says, Cody Rhodes is returning at the Rumble. Nice to know you think that. Justin says, if we are getting a new Bray, we should be getting a new Alexa as well. Not that same crap in 2021. We are getting a new Alexa, a new evolution of it. But as I said with Bray, you have to look at what the Alexa character was in order to get away from it entirely. We have 97 people watching this stream right now and only the 29 likes. Please remember to hit that thumbs up. Every little does help the growth of this channel and basically guarantees more subscribers as well. If this is your first time watching and you like what we do here, click subscribe. If you watch every single week and you've never really considered the button, hit subscribe. It will be worth it, I promise you. Ray says, will Raw ever go back to 2 hours? Simon says, is Ronda's contract expiring after Mania? I don't believe it's a one-year contract. If it was going to expire, it would be after the Royal Rumble if it was. Devon says, Tom, do you see Mercedes beating Kyrie? Yes, I do. Joey says, do you know if any free agents or wrestlers from other companies have been contacted in the Rumble? A few of them have. I'm hearing a lot of names, some of which are absolutely ridiculous. Tristan says, is The Rock penciled in for WrestleMania 39? He is not. Stuart says, 2K have an event planned same day as the Rumble in the same city, so we'd say that's 2K23 announcement time. I've been saying it for a while. I very much expect that's when we'll see our trailer. Shogun says, any information about the creative making a heel demon Finn Balor? Nope. The Demon King has been slain by Roman Reigns. Finn Balor's absolutely fine with that. The demon will not be reappearing for a long time. Henry says, thinking of the Saudi regime, their record is not great. There's a difference between not great and absolutely murderous. That's it. Brad Becker says, respecting others' opinions is an important thing. Agreed on that one. And I'm sure Henry is respecting my opinion as we speak about Saudi Arabia. We're having a genuine conversation here. It's pretty cool. Ray says, will Becky Lynch return to Raw tonight? Probably. Katana says, Tom, thank you for bringing the real news. There are still people on YouTube saying that Vince didn't like Bray Wyatt. That is absolutely categorically false. Vince McMahon was a huge fan of Bray Wyatt, took Bray Wyatt's name off the cost-benefit analysis lists several times to keep him from being fired. It was only when Nick Khan basically insisted and Bray had been off for a long time that we got to the point where they were removed. Tristan says, are all 30 men and 30 women set for next Saturday's Royal Rumble yet? Not entirely, not 100%, but they're mostly there. Just a quick thing to people bringing Zero News in as a source. Zero News have been insistent that we're going to get a 40-man Royal Rumble. 40-man. So keep an eye out for that. Colin says, do you think Chris Masters will return to the Royal Rumble? I can't think what he'd actually add to the product anymore. I think he's trying to, much like Eva Marie is trying to get the WWE's attention and say, come get me, come and get me, come and get me. That doesn't mean they're going to. Christoph says, great point, Tom. 2001, Rock beat Kurt Angle for the title at the Rumble and Stone Cold won the Rumble. I don't believe it was at the Rumble that the Rock beat Kurt Angle. In 2001, Austin wanted to be champ. In 2023, Ronda does not, according to what she recently said. She also said that before her most recent championship run. Henry says, what can we really do about the Saudis? It's not our job to do anything about the Saudis. It's the job of countries and governments to do things about the Saudis. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to remove the evil from the Saudi regime. The world has seemingly decided that it's all okay. I personally disagree. Salmon says, do you think the... I've lost it slightly. Lots going on here, guys. Do you think the brand new Vince Wall Street Journal allegations could affect his position as chairman? They could, they won't. DC says, greetings and salutations, Tom. Pardon me. Hope all is well with you and your family. I've seen something on a site called Wrestling News stating that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon might start their own company. There is no interest to my knowledge in Stephanie McMahon or Triple H starting their own company. Wrestling News, are they not the ones who reported that Sasha Banks and Naomi had signed a new deal and were on their way back imminently in June? FDR says, I usually catch up on the stream to keep myself up to date with the news with the different time zones and whatnot. Thank you kindly for that. Daniel says, Vince has got to be wanting to be coming back for Raw 30. I'm sure he wants to be involved every single week. That doesn't mean it's the right move for the sale of the company. Carmelina says, do you think Judgment Day and the Usos will have a segment today? Judgment Day already have a match lined up against Alpha Academy. I'm sure the Usos may take the opportunity to be on the attack there. Simon says, Triple H has final say on Becky versus Ronda not happening. Triple H is Chief Content Officer. He has final say on every creative choice. Venom says, do you think Charlotte will be a face for long? Nope. Marcel says, I hope Cody is number one in the Rumble and wins. Hector says, I think more depressing for me isn't Vince being back, it's the fact that WWE will assuredly be sold at some point this year, and even with the highest of highs and lowest of lows, WWE has been a huge part of my life since I was a kid. All that could be gone before we know it. Or, here's a thing to consider, this might be a good thing. Because, to be blunt, I do believe that a lot of the people currently vying to actually make the purchase will change the system for independent contractors and actually make the wrestlers employees with health benefits and travel expenses. Not all of them, but I do think there are a few that would be very good for the individuals. They wouldn't let them unionize though. Spider-Boss is saying Rhea Ripley is carrying Judgment Day and Dominic Mysterio. Disagree, Dominic Mysterio is carrying himself. Wiggly says Batista will go in the Hall of Fame this year, I think, and William Regal. William Regal would not be able to appear on WWE TV to accept it due to the terms of his release from AEW, as reported. Spider-Boss says, when could we see call-ups from NXT? Pretty much whenever. Liv Morgan hitting her own head against a turnbuckle was weird and funny. Sean says, do you think Santino is a big signing for Impact Wrestling? No. Barely Interesting says, how excited are you for WrestleMania 39 at the present time? Quite excited, though I tend to get excited quite late. I've got to be honest with you there. I get excited quite late for things. I do think there are some really exciting matchups coming. If we get Gunther versus Drew McIntyre, I'm really happy. If we get Gunther versus Brock Lesnar, Spider-Boss feels bad for Naomi. Go says, according to PWInsider, Kurt Angle and Ric Flair have been contacted to appear at Raw as Triple X, as well as Shawn Michaels, X-Pac, and Kane. Wiggly says, did I mention I'm going out on a date with a girl coincidentally named Asuka? You only go out with girls named Asuka. Spider-Boss says, Rey Mysterio versus Cross will be a short feud, right? Yep. The feud going into WrestleMania will be Rey versus Dominic. Wiggly says, am I the only one who doesn't really care if we unmask Uncle Howdy? No, I don't really care either. I don't like Bray's new music. I love his new music. Absolutely love it. Sean says, everyone says Vince doesn't like certain people. Yeah, people make shit up. Spider-Boss says, is Triple H still considering Becky versus Bayley? It was on the table from Creative. I can't say whether or not Triple H ever considered it, but Creative did pitch it. Wiggly wants a 50-man Royal Rumble. That's a 2-hour match, mate. Barely Interesting says, we need a 100-man Royal Rumble. That's a 4-hour match, mate. Spider-Boss says, what's the difference between Vince and Triple H? They are separate people. Wiggly says, I just saw a recent picture of David Flair. Really let himself go. Okay. All right. Wiggly says, Ruby Soho is coming to FTLOW. Sean says, Zero is also saying Roman is going to be stripped of the WWE title for the Usos' recent actions. It's Zero news. Take it with a grain of salt. Here's a question. Why would Roman be stripped of a championship because of something the Usos did? Why is nobody asking this question? If the Usos are attacking people, surely their championships would be stripped. Surely they would strip them of the Raw Tag Team Championships and say, you're not welcome here anymore. Why would they strip a championship from Roman Reigns because of what he's not doing? Why is nobody asking this question? Wiggly says, do you suspect Drew might win Money in the Bank? Nope. Wiggly says, that's not true. Tom previously dated a girl, Namti Karu, too. Drew did not win at Clash of the Castle, despite so many people deciding that he would because it was in the UK. The fact that it's in the UK means nothing. It's funny because if it was in the US, you'd be constantly saying, oh, well, they're in their hometown, they're obviously going to lose. And yet with Drew, people expect him to win for some reason. It's very strange. Christoph says, Tom, good to see you. Do you have any news about Ciampa returning? Not at this time, no. They are rethinking what they've done with Tommaso Ciampa, taking advantage of the unavailability and the injury to make it happen. Sean says, who wins a men's rumble? My heart still says Cody Rhodes. Venom says, do you think Johnny faces at Mania? I'd imagine he has a face at Mania, yes. Jermaine says, hi Tom, what is going on with Wade Keller and the story that Sportskeeda about Mercedes wasn't well liked in the back in WWE and toxicity in the locker room and AEW dodged the bullet? Haven't heard that one myself. Certainly I don't personally believe that Mercedes was unpopular backstage. However, I do not have the contacts that Wade Keller does. Aled Thomas says, hey Tom, do you think the Usos will walk into WrestleMania with both sets of tag titles? Sorry if you've answered this already. I've not already answered this, Aled. Don't you worry about it. I do believe they will walk into WrestleMania with both sets of tag titles, but that does depend, because if they lose the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, for example, then they're on Raw. And they're separate from Roman. Could make for a very interesting section. Thomas says, the only unfortunate thing with this news about Vince, it means less likely that we're going to see Seth versus Ospreay at WrestleMania. Tyson Levy says, do you think we could see Cody coming back to win the Royal Rumble and to get a match at WrestleMania 39? Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're going to see. Colton says, do you think Matt Cardona will return? No, I don't. That doesn't make sense to me personally. I don't know why they'd want him. This doesn't work for me. Spider-Ball says, I like Cross's promo on SmackDown. Certainly Cross explained why Dominic turned on Rey. The intention with Cross and Rey Mysterio is to basically have a very similar story, very, very similar story, to Triple H and The Undertaker a long, long time ago. Karrion Kross is going to say, Rey, you're done. He's then going to beat Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is then going to go into the match with Dominic at WrestleMania, with Dominic also saying, Rey, you're done. Retire. From what I can tell, the plan is for him to retire. At least it was the last time they were pitching this match. Andrew Quinn says, any former WWE stars returning at the Rumble? Yes. Venom says, Triple H is big on Johnny. There's no way he wouldn't book him to be on Mania. If he doesn't have the storyline, he doesn't have the storyline. Triple H might have 2 nights, but he likes much more condensed pay-per-views. I haven't seen Johnny on many pay-per-views so far. Jermaine says, then there's Dave Meltzer stating that Mercedes has heat with New Japan. I am very, very confident, and from the people I've spoken to, they've certainly filled me with confidence that that is not the case. Simon says, with Liv Morgan... Sorry, got to catch up again. Wow. So many messages. With Liv Morgan teaming with Tegan at live events to beat Damage Control, do you see Liv Morgan in the women's tag team title match at Mania 39? Simon, you know the answer to this question. I've told you at least 5 times. That is exactly where I see her. The 1 Minute Wrestler says, hi Tom. Hello 1 Minute Wrestler, how you doing? Tristan says, what are the chances of Lex Luger getting inducted into the Hall of Fame this year? About the same amount of chances there is every year. Very, very little. FDR is rocking the tables. Ray says, will Charlotte Flair be a long-term babyface? Probably, also possibly not. Possibly not. Simon is asking about Alexa Bliss plans at WrestleMania 39. She may or may not be involved in the Bray Wyatt match. Tristan says, what are the chances of Demolition getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year? Again, very slim, but not impossible. Ray says, will Matt Cardona be returning to the WWE or stay with Impact Wrestling and NWA? There are many, many more options, all of which are on the table. Andrew Quinn says, PWInsider did report Edge and Beth will return at the Rumble. Obviously, I thought I'd give you the source in case I forgot again. Thank you, Andrew Quinn. I appreciate that. I have reported already that there is an impending return for Edge. I reported that a couple of weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Because his dates have now rolled over and we should be seeing him soon. I've also been speaking for a while about Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley impending. I do expect that's what we're going to see. Noob says at least Chris Masters is more incognito than Eva Marie. Not quite. Christoph says Steve Corino's son Colby is expected to be signed by WWE. Have you already seen him in action? I have not. Joey says Michelle McCool wanted to return for the Rumble, but WWE weren't interested. Says who? Who has said that they weren't interested? After all, she pitched it to them, and to my knowledge, there's been contact. That's all I have on it. Christoph says, my bad, Tom. You're correct again. It wasn't No Way Out 2001 that The Rock beat Kurt. My memory is getting old. Don't worry, Christoph. It's just that I always try and make sure we got as factual as possible. We all make little errors like that. I've done it myself. Thankfully, I've got a great chat who will immediately correct me whenever that happens. Joey says, do you have any new news regarding the sale? Nope, there is no more news regarding the sale. There have been very few further contacts. There are meetings still planned to go ahead over the next few weeks. There is no formal bids as of yet because that would not be legal. Peter says, please smash the likes or the tables will come out. And if you've not yet done so yet, please do consider hitting that thumbs up for me. We have 98 viewers and 42 likes. Every thumbs up basically guarantees more viewers find this show. More people can jump in, chat, ask questions and get the right information at the right time that they are looking for. If you're just watching for the first time, or if you've watched before and you've been oohing and ahhing and considering it, hit subscribe. You will not regret it. Andrew says, which movies are you looking forward to seeing this year? I'm not going to talk too much on movies because the thing I'm most looking forward to this year is The Last of Us. I've watched the first episode. It was so good and I cannot wait for more. LF says, any word on if Vince is likely to be on Raw? I have heard absolutely nothing about Vince McMahon appearing on Raw, though I've seen a lot of different outlets staking their reputation on it. Jermaine says, if Charlotte is going to be the babyface that they're trying to build, does that mean they're going to turn Raquel heel and have her win the Royal Rumble to challenge Charlotte at WrestleMania? Huge judgment leaps there, mate. Huge judgment leaps. They are sticking with the plan for Charlotte to be a face. However, I don't think they're going to be turning Raquel heel unless they need to. There are plenty of other people who can take on Charlotte Flair. First and foremost, Ronda Rousey, Bayley, Rhea, etc. Tristan says, who is The Rock's replacement against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39? There is no replacement. There was never a match planned at WrestleMania 39 between Roman Reigns and The Rock. A match has not been formally made. Now, in the next few weeks, depending on The Rock's availability, you never can tell. They will always be trying to get The Rock, but there is no replacement. The match has never been formally announced. Robert says, Brian Alvarez says Vince McMahon returned to WWE to get back at WWE Creative. Well, Peter Robert, that is exactly what we're talking about, and that is exactly what I said 6 days ago on my Tuesday spoiler warning show. It's nice to see other wrestling journalists reporting and confirming exactly what I've already reported. Subscribe if you haven't already. Shogun says, did the creative choice LA Knight to feud with Bray Wyatt is a win for him to make him a future main eventer at some point? I don't want LA Knight to be buried. LA Knight is not winning this feud. But it certainly gets him in a very prominent position. Ghost says at this point, just throw the entire wrestling industry in the Rumble, let them all have a go at it, then everyone gets what they want. That would be one of the best nights of wrestling in our lifetime. The top names in New Japan, the top names in AEW, the top names in Impact, the top names in WWE. Let them go for it. That would be worth having 50. Wiggly says, Austin did win at WrestleMania 17 in Texas, though. Drew McIntyre did not. He did not. Venom says, if Charlotte won't be a face long term, why are they trying so hard to get her over with the fans? They are intending for Charlotte to be a face long term. I don't think she's going to be. I think the fans are going to turn against her very, very quickly. Tristan, Stone Cold has also not been confirmed for WrestleMania 39. I cannot tell you who he's fighting because there's no evidence that he's going to be fighting at all. Simon says, Ronda doesn't need any championship anymore. She should be booked like Brock Lesnar in exhibition matches as a killer. I agree. That'd be great. Ray says, I'd like to see Charlotte Flair versus Camille from NWA. You will not be seeing that. Daz says, will Ray be in the Rumble? Seems possible, but not necessarily the most likely. Rey Mysterio is a big name, so it's always a good thing to have big names in the Rumble. That would be a good idea. It would also give them the opportunity to have Rey and Dominic actually square up in some form. So I think we're going to see it. However, when it comes to the top names, as it were, Rey Mysterio simply isn't there anymore. That said, the WWE do see him as a pathway to a certain audience. Venom says Charlotte could have promo on SmackDown like she's never been a face before. She's been a face plenty of times. LF says Seth Rollins posted on Twitter saying he feels like he should headline WrestleMania this year. He's definitely earned it. I wouldn't mind seeing him and Roman going at it again. Neither would I. Eric says, what do you mean by red herring regarding Liv? Well, essentially, it comes down to she would be a distraction. She'd be the one that you start to think is, oh, maybe she's the one who gets it, to try and disguise the eventual winner. Wiggly says Cody is winning the Rumble. Spider-Boss says, what's next for Dexter Lumis? I hope Indy Hartwell shows him the way. Shogun says, Shatter is a banger, like Bray always delivers in terms of theme song. Peter Roberts says, hi Tom, do you watch Raw live? It will air 2 a.m. GMT. Not a great time to watch it in the morning. I agree. I do not do live Raw watch-alongs. I do live SmackDown shows that you may want to check out, Peter. Might be worth sticking around for those. The SmackDown shows do really, really well, and we have an absolutely great time for them. I also do pay-per-view watch-alongs, so the Royal Rumble will be the next big one that we are doing that you may want to check out. Raw, however, we only do certain shows. For example, the Raw after the Royal Rumble, I will be live. Still trying to catch up. There's a lot going on here. Richard says, Tom, are you interested in Ronda versus Becky? I wouldn't mind having the match just to get it out the way, but I don't think it's a WrestleMania match anymore. Ray wants to see a Royal Rumble, 15 men and 15 women. Yeah. Joey says, Zero News also reported Drew was going to win the WWE title at Clash, and there would be a big surprise return, and none of that happened. Simon says, who do you see winning the SmackDown Tag Team Tournament, Tom, to face the Usos? Really hard to say, because we have no idea who's going to be in it so far. I do think it's probably going to be Banger Bros again. Brad says, where would you have Cody enter the Rumble? Around 17, 18, 19, that area. So he's got long enough to make a big impact, but not so long that he's putting his body too much on the line. You've already asked me that, Simon. I've already answered as regards the split of the championships. Colin says, Tom Colohue is the GOAT of pro wrestling YouTube. He actually says Colonhue, which is certainly a nickname that I may have heard before in school. Tommy says, I forgot to... Oh, boo. Richard Smith says, Dutch Mantel came out and said he worked in WWE for 2 years and Sasha never once said hello. Why would she? She never worked with him. Joey says, do you know what Cameron Grimes' status is? He's been off TV for a while. Creative hiatus. Trying to work out what to do with him. Tristan says it's the very first trailer for WWE 2K23 happening at the Royal Rumble. All signs point to yes. I've been told they're preparing something Royal Rumble relative... Sorry, preparing something 2K relative for the Royal Rumble. A formal announcement will be either at the Rumble or the Raw afterwards. Base says, do you think Vinnie Mac makes his appearance at Raw 30th anniversary tonight? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. I don't want him to, but I don't trust Vince McMahon to keep himself out of the picture. Ray says, what is your favourite Rosemary match? I like the ones where they go offset. The ones, for example, the first Hardy compound match, where she was just sort of involved tangentially. I love matches like that, where she makes herself known without being directly involved. Tristan, Lex Luger's chances are very little because there's a lot of other options, and also a bit of a thing about Miss Elizabeth. If you're not sure what I mean, that's a 20-minute video. I don't have time to cover it too much. Google it. There's a lot of information to find there. Hello, Tom. How you doing, mate? Just seen Avatar with one of my favourite people. Vince McMahon? I get what you're saying. Alex says, Zero News is saying the Usos losing one set of titles before Mania makes him even more unreliable, in my opinion. For me, it's most of the things that he's got wrong that makes him unreliable. I don't really know who's behind the one on that one. But what I will say is that when people are that aggressive to everyone, and when people are that self-congratulatory, it tells me they're trying to create a narrative. That's what it tells me. And personally, I just don't trust it. Spider-Boss says, whoever that said Mercedes Venado was unpopular certainly is speculating. Well, they have experience, and to be fair, you do not. Spider-Boss says, Usos versus Judgment Day on the 30th anniversary of Raw, right? No, is it not the 30th anniversary tonight? Am I wrong on that? Wiggly says, that's how I always anticipated Ray would retire, by somehow passing on the mask to Dominic, and that has always been Ray's intention. When he signed his latest contract with the WWE, Rey Mysterio made it clear he wanted to make sure that Dominic Mysterio got pushed. I reported at that time that Dominic Mysterio would not be going through NXT. He would instead come straight to the main roster, making him one of a very select group, which also includes AJ Styles. This was the plan then. Dominic eventually said to Rey, you cannot retire. I want to at least win a tag team championship with you. And we got what we had instead. Rey has ended up wrestling a lot longer than he expected to on this contract, and Dominic's very happy about it. Sean says, do you think we get Alexa versus Bianca confirmed for the Rumble tonight? If it's happening, it'll happen then. If it's happening, it'll happen then. Wiggly says, can you believe WrestleMania 17 was 22 years ago? Yes, because I was very, very small at the time. Entire generations grown up not knowing about the Attitude Era or WCW or even ECW. Yeah, and to be fair, they're probably better off for it, because some people of our generation literally do... their entire personality is Attitude Era was better. Attitude Monday Night Wars, Hulk out. That's their entire personality, and it's horrible. Salmon says, any news on Adam Cole's first AEW feud back? I'd say give him a minute, mate. Give him a minute. You know, just give him a minute to work it out. Carmelina says, do you think that Naomi will help the Usos with Judgment Day? No, but I do believe when she returns, the Bloodline will be in her corner. Thank you very much, Tom. I very much appreciate it for the super chat. It says, went with a carer who's going travelling in March. Had a lot of fun making memories recently. I've seen the pictures, mate. I've seen them. I'm glad you're having a great time. Glad you're having a great time. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, and I genuinely mean that. Really glad for you. Tristan says, what are the chances of a physical WWE Hall of Fame being built in the next 5 years? That depends entirely on who buys the WWE. It is an impossible question to answer at this point in time. Christoph says, I hope Liv will be the Iron Women in the Rumble, entering number 1 and lasting until the final 4. Watch her. You say that. However, people are still really, really upset that Sasha Banks entered number 1 in the Royal Rumble, was the Iron Woman, and then got eliminated in the final 4 in the first Women's Royal Rumble. People are really upset about that. Apparently that's just not enough. It's not enough. Spider-Boss says Bayley versus Charlotte would be great for WrestleMania. Let Ronda go for the women's tag team titles. That is a plan for Ronda, at least at the moment. Bismo's not a fan of Charlotte as a face. GKO says, hi Tom. I'm highly confident Cody will win the Rumble, but is it too obvious? I know The Rock has a slim chance of showing up, but do you see him being booed if he did return to win the Rumble? No, absolutely not. It's worth remembering at this point that the fans are, since the pandemic, a lot more positive about WWE in general, especially when you consider that people who go to WWE to hate watch WWE don't really do that anymore. They go to AEW, they've got an alternative, and they can just enjoy themselves instead. Hate watching went way down after the pandemic. What that means is when Vince McMahon appears, the crowd are thrilled. When Braun Strowman appears, the crowd are thrilled. When The Rock appears, the crowd will be thrilled. If The Rock appears. Ghost says, has there been any clarification on what the pitch black match consists of? None whatsoever, though you're going to see a hell of a lot of Mountain Dew. Like a hell of a lot. A scary amount of Mountain Dew is going to be involved. But they're intentionally, if you'll forgive the pun, keeping us in the dark on this one. Thank you, Wiggly, for the clarification there. I forgot on that one. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate this. Noob says, Asuka will come back as a heel, but I don't want her to turn back into a face. What makes you think she's going to come back as a heel? Why? Andrew says, I hope the 40-man Rumble match happens. Apart from WrestleMania pay-per-view, Royal Rumble is my second favourite. I'm excited for surprises, and plus I'll be staying up all hours for it. And if you're going to be staying up all hours, guys, we're doing a Royal Rumble watch party, so be sure to subscribe and stick around. DC says, does WWE have any plans on pairing up Sergeant Slaughter with Lacey Evans? Sergeant Slaughter has already been communicating with Lacey Evans on social media. There is a very, very big chance that they're going to be working together. Tristan says, what are the chances of a WWE AEW Forbidden Door pay-per-view? Slim to none. The WWE will gain absolutely nothing from that pay-per-view, but AEW would gain a lot. It would be a massive help to the competition and literally no help whatsoever to the WWE. Sean says, how was The Last of Us? Anything like the game? It was fantastic. I highly recommend it. Check it out. No, Wiggly, Raw's on at 1 a.m. in the UK, but we are GMT +1 now, I believe. Hector says, Tom, did you see Ginny had to retire due to injury? Sad to see her retire, but her health is first and foremost. I didn't know it was due to injury, but certainly, as we say, health is first and foremost. Spider-Boss says, Becky versus Ronda could happen in any Saudi pay-per-view. It very much could. I would not be watching it, but it could. Simon says, do you see the Alpha Academy in the Rumble, Tom? Maybe. There is a lot of people on the WWE roster right now, and only 30 of them get to be in the Rumble. I think you'll be surprised at certain names that don't make it. Double J says, hey Tom, hope you're having a good day. What number did you draw for the Royal Rumble? I hope you win. I drew number 7. Spoilers! I drew number 7. Simon, I have already been asked that question, already made it clear. I don't know what the Askamania plans are. I don't believe she's going to get a match on the main card. Shogun says, sad, Demon Balor will maybe never appear again after he lost to Roman Reigns. A heel demon appearing rarely to make the Judgment Day even stronger would have been an amazing idea. Would it? The reason the demon has essentially been killed off is because it was very, very obvious. The big giveaway was the moment at which Finn Balor said, I'm going to take on Brock Lesnar, but not as the Demon King, because he was going to lose. The Demon King is a spectacle, but the booking is ridiculous. It appears, it wins. It doesn't appear, well, Finn Balor's not going to win. The Demon made Finn Balor a loser. That's a fact. Finn Balor had to lose for the Demon to emerge, and he didn't like it. Carlos says, PWInsider states Bo Dallas is in town for Raw, so Uncle Howdy might appear tonight, in my opinion. Certainly whenever Bo Dallas is there, Uncle Howdy seems to be nearby. Go says, next week, aka the go-home show before Royal Rumble, is a 30th anniversary. Thank you for the clarification on that one. Simon says, the greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia in 2918 was a 50-man Royal Rumble match. I'm confused because that's the future, but was. Ray says, reports saying Broken Matt Hardy's returning. I hope it does. It's my favourite character. Aren't there always reports on that? Essentially, since Matt Hardy moved to AEW, it's been a case of, okay, but when's it happen? Why is it not? When is it happening? Fair enough, Thomas. Spider-Boss says, the hatred that Roman and the Usos get on social media is amazing. Fans on social media hate successful people. Yes. Yes, they do. And that's true of anything. If you are successful, people hate you. It's very much true of sports teams as well. The most successful sports teams are also the most hated. After all, wasn't that a bone of contention between John Cena and CM Punk way back in the day? Wiggly, it's just a drink. It's just a drink. I'm not really a McDonald's guy. I think it's the second time since this stream started that I've had a McDonald's drink here. Spider-Boss believes that Naomi will feel oozy when she returns. Simon says, do you see Eric Rowan returning? Probably not. I don't think what the advantage would be of that happening at this point. Thomas, how dare you? Richard says, do you think Sable will get into Hall of Fame? Yeah. Yeah, she gave a lot to the company. Spider-Boss says, which is the weirdest storyline you've ever seen in the WWE? Personally, the one in which Stone Cold Steve Austin was embalmed by The Undertaker and Paul Bearer. That's pretty weird. Spider-Boss says, why did WWE keep changing Lacey Evans' gimmick again and again? Because it's not working. It's not working. Thank you for the clarification there, Wiggly. Spider-Boss said, would be fun if Dominic changed his last name to Guerrero. I doubt he's going to do that, but he's certainly leaning into it. Certainly leaning into it. Where am I up to? Christoph says, probably the difference between me and the Sasha fans in 2018 is that this year I know Liv had no chance to win. Fair. Whereas when it comes to Sasha Banks, a lot of her fans have decided that she's going to win everything. Simon says, do you see Ken Shamrock going into the WWE Hall of Fame this year? No. GKO says, do you think there is any chance Becky Lynch wins the Royal Rumble? Yes, she's the favourite. She's been the favourite for months. So there's definitely a chance. Ray says, when is the Royal Rumble? 2 Saturdays from now. Carmelina says, do you think all the bloodline will be in the Royal Rumble? No. Roman Reigns will not. The rest of them, absolutely, but not Roman. Joey says, do you think Gunther will drop the IC title before Mania if he's wrestling Brock? Nope, and I don't necessarily think he's wrestling Brock. I still think Gunther versus Drew McIntyre makes a lot more sense. Ray says, who do you think will win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal? Hard to say. There's a lot of decent contenders. It depends who's facing who. If Brock is facing Bobby, for example, then that takes Bobby out of the match. If Bobby's in the match, he's probably winning it. So there's a few good options. I'd go with Solo, personally. Solo Sikoa would be perfect for it. Simon says, I'd like to see a Too Cool reunion. That you're not going to be able to do that. That's not something that's possible. Simon, you're asking me a question which at least 3 times in this stream alone I've told you is what I see happening. And then like stream after stream after stream gone. There is a reason that sometimes you say things and I just go straight past them. Bismo says, Tom, when do you think the Bloodline turns on Sami? I'm not sure they turn on him. From what I'm seeing, I think maybe the Usos turn on Sami and then Sami gets back at Roman. That's what I see. Nas says, Katie Vick was the weirdest for me. Ghost agrees. When discussing weird storylines, I have 2 words for you, Katie Vick. Wiggly wants Victoria and Sid in the Hall of Fame. Spider-Boss says, no matter what WWE do with Lacey Evans and Karrion Kross, fans just don't like them. And Sean says, Roman can't be in the Rumble, he would win and can't face himself. Spider-Boss suggests the weirdest storyline was AJ Lee dating everyone in 2012 and 13. Mick says, do you see Gunther as a potential Royal Rumble winner? And not at this point in time, no. I think he needs to be a little bit more protected and work his way up the card a little longer yet. Simon says, do you see X-Pac, Kane in the Royal Rumble as legends this year? No, I do not. Kane does not wrestle anymore. He should not wrestle anymore. X-Pac, I think, much the same. Shogun says, massive thanks for the clarification about Demon Balor. I understand much better why Finn decided to let the demon off the camera. It was a decision by Finn Balor. It was one of those I reported very late in my time at Sportskeeda. I reported this one, and then literally a couple of days later, a colleague of mine, Stephanie Chase, also working for Sportskeeda at the time, interviewed Finn Balor and got the exact quote from the horse's mouth. Good times. Chill Dude says, just FYI, Zero News was outed as reading paywalled info and posting as his own. Henry says, sorry about that, my bad choice of words. Henry, don't worry about it, mate. Don't worry about it. Like, seriously, don't worry about it. You've been very respectful with your views. Like, obviously, they are different views to mine, but we debate here. We have drop my pen. We have healthy discourse here. If you have a different opinion, absolutely jump in and talk to me about it. You're very welcome to do so. Don't worry about it. Chill Dude says, do you suspect Beth eliminates Rhea from the Rumble? If that's the match they're heading to, absolutely. Chill says, does Rumble come down to Steph and Cody? I think Sami Zayn's going to be in there. I really do. Nat says, who do you see winning Money in the Bank? Way too early to make that assumption. If, for example, Gunther loses the IC Championship at WrestleMania, I definitely see him being in that picture. If not, then there's a few very, very good options. Seth Rollins, for example. Thomas says, do you see any Bloodline storylines taking place in the Rumble match? Yeah, absolutely. Big time. Jill says, next week the final promo announcing Cody for Rumble. Well, if he's going to be in the Rumble, that's the time. Yes, GKO. The favourites have changed in the last few days, but for months before, Becky was a favourite, and she still very much is in that contendership. Marcos, I'm not sure what you're reading, because that's definitely not something that's been mentioned. Definitely not something that's been said. So if you can react to what's happening here. Brad says, as clarification. Okay, Henry, I don't know what word you're referring to, but I'm glad that if it was a bad one, you've decided to stick to it. To withdraw it. Jill says, I have a feeling Bianca loses her title at the Rumble, enters, wins, and faces Charlotte. So stand by Drew versus Gunther, and Jill says Lashley versus Lesnar has to be at WrestleMania. Spider-Boss says the storyline between Dawn Marie and Tori Wilson's dad was cringe. Sean says, is it true Mandy Rose can still use Mandy Rose if she goes to another company? Nope, WWE own the name Mandy Rose. They own the name. What news have we not already covered? Let's talk about it. So we've discussed about the idea of Roman being stripped of a title. Why would Roman be stripped of a title for something that the Usos are doing? What the hell? We've discussed about Vince interfering with creative. And we've discussed about the idea of Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch still being involved with that. The Cody Rhodes relaunch is continuing to build steam. He will be in the Royal Rumble. I'm absolutely certain of that. All of these vignettes are designed to build him up in the build to WrestleMania, where he will be in a huge match. Outside of that, I was planning to talk about the top names as they are currently listed backstage going into the Royal Rumble. So on the SmackDown side, obviously at the top of the men's division is Roman Reigns as a top heel. Right behind him is Sami Zayn. Right behind him, Gunther. Gunther is very highly regarded, is third in the list of top names going into the Royal Rumble. Sami Zayn still listed as a heel. On the face side, number one is Bray Wyatt, proving that there are big plans for him as we speak. Second is Drew McIntyre. And third, at the moment at least, is Sheamus. On the women's side, Charlotte Flair has replaced Liv Morgan as the top face of the division. After her is indeed Liv Morgan, and then third is Raquel Rodriguez. On the heel side, Ronda Rousey clearly at the top, Shayna Baszler shortly afterwards. After that, there is a significant drop to Lacey Evans. Sonya Deville not featured in the top list for heels. On the Raw side then, the top face at the moment is Kevin Owens. Not, who is second, Seth Rollins. Kevin Owens at the top, Seth Rollins second. Third, recently restored to his position, Cody Rhodes. After the Royal Rumble, that may well change, but at the moment, Cody Rhodes is listed as third. On the heel side, curiously, Roman Reigns is still listed as number one, despite the fact that he's on SmackDown. After him, Bobby Lashley is listed as second, and third, at the moment at least, is Austin Theory. Austin Theory. Going further down the card then, we get to the women's section, which of course does not feature Roman Reigns. On the heel side, the top is Bayley. However, it is very close right now to an overtake from Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss is right there chasing. As regards third, Damage Control in general are being mentioned, both women involved. On the face side, this may surprise people. Number one is Becky Lynch, not Bianca Belair. Becky Lynch is listed at number one. Straight after that is Bianca Belair. And then once again, you go a little further down the card. It was, up until recently, Asuka. At this point in time, I'm struggling to get hold of the next name. So just a little state of play address for everyone there, so that we all know where we are going forwards. Spider-Boss's Royal Rumble predictions are Cody and Rhea Ripley. Spider-Boss says, what's next for Theory's USA title reign? Still Bobby Lashley, still Seth Rollins. Wiggly believes that Cody will win both belts off Roman and be King Cody. Hector says, if the plan is to have Bray go against Uncle Howdy at Mania, I'll be highly disappointed considering he's wrestled Cena, Taker and Orton in the past. Wiggly believes the final two will be Cody and Sami. Spider-Boss says, could we see Charlotte versus Sonya 2 for the SmackDown Women's title? Yeah, at some point that may happen. Wiggly says, where does Brock Lesnar rank in all of this? At the moment, he doesn't, because this is in the build-up to the Royal Rumble. This is where we've been, not necessarily where we're going. Spider-Boss says, Charlotte and Ronda on the SmackDown Women's division look as big fishes in a small lake. Very true, but Liv Morgan's trying to catch up there, and so far she's doing okay. Same with Shayna Baszler, the catch-up is on. Thomas says, did you see Cody's tweet today stating the number 3? What do you think this means? Well, I think it means we're going to see him very soon, and he may be heavily involved in the days to come as well. Ray says, will Brock Lesnar return as Cowboy Babyface? Yes. Jill Dude says, an out of left field, I'd put at least a fiver on Naomi returning, winning the Rumble, and facing Charlotte at Mania. Shogun says, any good plans for Santos Escobar? At the moment, he's just filling a spot and having exhibition matches in a similar situation to Johnny Gargano. Daz says, what was your best Sting match in either WCW or WWE or AEW? I actually quite enjoyed his feud with Lex Luger, to be honest. He had some okay ones with DDP. I'd probably go in that direction. Joey says, are there any surprise names that you can discuss? No. I know it's spoiler warning, but I don't want to take away all of the surprises. Plus, a lot of them, they are just rumours at this point. Jill says, is Nikki Cross bringing back Sanity? There are definitely strong rumours of the return of Sanity. I've spoken about them myself, with Killian Dane being contacted. GKO says, Tom, is Sammy versus Roman still planned for the Elimination Chamber, or were those rumours all BS? I've heard nothing about a Sammy versus Roman match for the Elimination Chamber. I believe this was once again Zero News. Zero News did say there'd be a 40-man Royal Rumble, that there would be a Hell in a Cell match at the Royal Rumble, etc., etc. You need to know your source before you start trusting it. Jill says, if Ciampa is cleared soon, what if it's Ciampa and Gargano versus Miz and a returning John Morrison? Well, it won't be. It won't be. Simon says, you were going to talk about Bianca Belair WrestleMania 39 plans, Tom. I was, thank you very kindly. Bianca Belair is expected to be going into WrestleMania as the Raw Women's Champion. They are currently fleshing out the ideal challenger for her. There is still talk of a potential unification between Charlotte and Bianca. However, that seems to have been broken up, with the championships moving away and being separated from the bloodline as well. So that pitch simply has not managed to gain much traction so far. Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair seems to be the front runner at this point in time. However, Rhea Ripley does not necessarily need to win a Royal Rumble to do so. Pardon me. Becky Lynch winning the Royal Rumble and going on to face Charlotte. Meanwhile, Rhea Ripley winning an Elimination Chamber to go up against Bianca Belair seems very much up there as an option, but then how do you factor in Edge and Beth Phoenix? Alexa Bliss has been building momentum as a potential challenger to Bianca Belair. The big question, of course, is where does Bayley fit into this? Because at the moment, she'd be the one missing out. I don't see Bayley being the challenger for Bianca. I see her more likely to be going up against Charlotte, leaving Becky available for one more time with Bianca. Bismo says, I'd consider Roman a Shades of Grey wrestler. He gets cheered and booed. There are many of them, it's absolutely fair. Christoph says, Lashley is officially heel now. The term wasn't very clear if you ask me. I agree, it wasn't very clear. Seth Rollins has been turned face, and as a result of this, Bobby Lashley is being considered a heel once again. They've not fully committed to it in my mind, not personally at least, but the intention is to go more heel. MVP is expected to solidify that. But with Lashley, they do try and keep it open. The idea with Bobby Lashley is they're turning him into the next Brock Lesnar. They don't really care at all whether people cheer or boo for him. Jill says, will the Sammy versus Roman title match in Montreal be Roman trying to get Sammy to lay down? What title match are you talking about there? I haven't heard about a title match. Stuart says, what are your thoughts on Matt Cardona returning along with Chelsea Green at the Rumble? I don't see any real benefit to the WWE in it. I've been consistent on that. Shogun says, don't you think it was a bad idea to make Bobby Lashley heel again? Was a huge babyface with the crowd before facing Lesnar. Maybe, maybe not. But the idea is still very much Bobby Lashley continuing his feud with Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. Jill says, what if WWE tries to pull a Montreal screwjob on Sammy in Montreal to get him over more? Then that would be what they did. Ray says, my favourite Sting match was Sting versus Hulk Hogan. I really enjoyed Sting versus Jeff Hardy. Chill Dude says, Brock versus Lashley in the fight pit at Mania. Neither of them have any real interest in actually going into a fight pit. That's not really their style. Carlos says, Cody Rhodes number 3 means tonight's Raw will be the 3rd video on his road to recovery. To my knowledge, there's been more than 3 already. Jill says, will Theory versus Cena be for the US title? What Theory versus Cena match? Again, these are rumoured, these are not announced, so it's hard to comment on matches that aren't announced. Horsey Welcome says, I'm mega late. Good evening, Tom. Been on a show for another stream, hope all good. Well, you've got a lot to talk about, I'm sure, Horsey. A lot happened in the recent City United match, but always appreciate you popping in. How you doing, mate? Wiggly says Bray versus Brock at WrestleMania and Bray gets a big win. I've been calling for that for years. It's not going to happen. Ghost says I'm pretty sure they don't even know that last name. The only face it would make sense is Candice LeRae, but her booking has been less than stellar to say the least. I wholeheartedly agree. Mia Yim is someone that I thought could be up there, but she just hadn't really been used much. Sean says Alexa is a heel. I wonder when the turn happened during the match with Bianca. Sean says surprise Miz isn't on the top heel side on Raw. There's much better heel options as regards the heel side of Raw. Spider-Bell says Johnny Gargano would be a good babyface on Raw, but his booking has been disappointing. He certainly wouldn't be a top 3 babyface, which is what we are talking about. Also said I'd love Rhea versus Bianca. Someone has to beat Bianca for the title. Wiggly says when will Io get a singles push? In quite a while. Quite a while. Spider-Bell says I hope we don't get another Becky versus Bianca. Already saw them during 2021, 2022. All right, Wiggly. Bye. Have a good night. Have a good night. Alyssa, welcome. Says somebody said Cody Rhodes not showing up to the Royal Rumble. Have The Rock win. Yeah, Cody Rhodes is in the Royal Rumble. It's already been... He's on the poster. He's on the poster. Horsey says, had a good weekend, YouTube-wise, but bad result-wise. Fair enough, mate. At least you've got something to sort of perk you up a little bit. Happens to me sometimes. Carmelina says, I'm so happy I found you on YouTube. I just love how all the news you say is sourced and not just made up. Thank you, Carmelina. I work very, very hard on this. Very hard on this. To try and make sure that all of this is factual and as factual as possible. As soon as I've caught up, I have something to say about the rumours about the WWE sale to Saudi Arabia. Chill says, are we just waiting for the next piece of chaos from Vince? Yes. JKO says, do you see a Fiend return anytime soon? Kind of, but not really. Eddie says, why Vince want to change the plans for the Rumble? I've just got here. He is pitching a return, from what I'm hearing, to a WrestleMania match between Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey, which would necessitate a change in the Royal Rumble booking. Chill says, imagine the roster reaction if Vince walks in next week unannounced and unexpected. Ray says, will we see Sting versus Darby Allin? Maybe. Horsey says, the Fiend return is poor booking for me if it is him. I very much doubt it's going to happen. Darnell, welcome, says, give us Rhea versus Bianca at Mania. Shogun says, damn, Seth Rollins being considered a face now really shows how much he worked with his gimmick and the fans really enjoy him like that. Chill says, predict what the next twist in the McMahon saga is. Vince McMahon selling the company. Christoph is saying, Zero News isn't a serious source. He's posted random pictures all day long. It doesn't make sense. I got confirmed Roman's last title defense before Mania will be at the Rumble. Who got confirmed? What are you on about? Chill says, how about Brock versus Braun? That would be great. I wholeheartedly agree with you. If you are watching, please remember to give the show a thumbs up if you've not already. We are on 54 likes. Every little does help the growth of the channel. Also, so far during the show, we have gained 6 subscribers. We have gone from 2,029 up to 2,035. If you've not yet done so, please consider hitting that subscribe button. That means you can jump in and ask questions. You can chat away. You can get notifications every time we go live. You will know what is happening. So please consider hitting that subscribe button. One last thing I want to talk about before I then wrap up the chat. The chat's very lively today, so I will read as many of your comments as I can. I want to briefly talk about what happened on Tuesday night, now that I've had some time to think about it, with the reports that came out with the idea that WWE has been sold to Saudi Arabia and the drama that incurred. So I've got a few things to say here. And I need to start with this. What is the public interest in that report? It created a panic, it created hysteria, because wrestling fandom can't just read something. They have to make assumptions based on it. It's horrendous. What is the public need? You have to consider the audience when reporting something like that. So, the report was that the WWE had already been sold to Saudi Arabia. Vince McMahon had been chairman of the board for less than 6 hours at the time. Less than 6 hours. Vince McMahon had been chairman of the board, overseeing the sale. Welcome, Ryan's Geeky Finds. Hope your geeky self has found something you're looking for here. Welcome to the show. When it comes to the reports around the Vince McMahon sale of WWE. It is utterly ridiculous to think that the sale could happen that quickly. It is ignorant of legal practices. It is ignorant of intention. There is no concept of bidding war. There is no concept of a bidding process. A ton of companies which hadn't even declared interest in any way, shape or form internally suddenly apparently had already been beaten by an investment fund based in Saudi Arabia. These reports could not possibly have been true. Those that reported it clearly did not do the due diligence that was required. And at the same time, I have to point out all of the wrestling media collaborators posting the eyeball emojis, saying that there's going to be big news but not saying anything, teasing you. That is called clickbait. It is the definition of follow me or you'll miss something. It is the desperation. When news is profitable, it is the desperation to say, sign up to my website first. It is harmful. It is disinformation masquerading as a tease. I want you to remember everyone who did it. I want you to remember every time you see them say the same thing. Something big's coming, something big's coming, follow. Something big's coming, sign up to my paywall. Something big is coming, and if you don't give me $20, you'll never know. It is disgusting to see that happening. Disgusting. This is the world we live in now. There is an outright war on truth. Journalists are being continually referred to as fake news. The ones who actually try are being ruined and wrecked by the ones who post the eyeball emojis, because when news is profitable, surely you're going after the competition. The news we report here on this YouTube channel is free. Absolutely free. It will never be anything else. You can donate. You can become a channel member. You can subscribe. You can sign up. But it will always be free. It's that simple. In the past, as many of you know, this has made me very unpopular, because I would report things that days later will pop up on paywalls. You guys are seeing it. What am I talking about right now? On Tuesday, I said Vince McMahon has already been making pitches. Today, it's everywhere. But where is it? Where did it start? Paywalls. 6 days after I report it for free, it's behind a paywall, a subscription service, and everyone is trying to make you sign up to that subscription service. Stick around, subscribe here, because I'm not going to take the piss out of you. I'm not going to treat you like you're stupid. I'm not going to milk you for money. I'm a journalist. I'm going to find the truth, and I'm going to share it. That's the job. It should be that simple. That is the job. Hector says, Tom, do you think there's a chance we still get AJ moved to SmackDown when Paul Heyman being there with Roman prevent that? To my knowledge, they're largely over it at this point. They could still work together, though they wouldn't actually be working together. Wiggly, I just don't think they're very good at the minute. They haven't evolved as they should have done to the new style that they were aiming for. Spider-Boss says, does Io Sky and Dakota make it to WrestleMania as tag team champions? I believe they do. Wiggly says, to be honest, the thing that bothered me was I was seeing a lot of bigoted and Islamophobic posts at the announcement of Saudi maybe buying WWE. I'm a mod of a fan group and had to delete and ban lots of people for making disgustingly offensive remarks. That, unfortunately, is the world we live in, where the idea of free speech means freedom to be a complete dickhead. It's not right. And that's it. That's what they call them, is it? What is it? Free speech absolutists, they call them, isn't it? No matter what, I'll always say whatever I want. No matter how abusive, no matter how harmful. You want to get away with murder? You really think you're going to? Because talking someone into suicide is still murder for me. And I know that because it's been happening, or at least it has happened in years past, to me. When I've said I'm taking time off because of the abuse I'm getting, they haven't stopped. In fact, it got a whole lot worse. They know who they are. They still haven't stopped. GKO says Raquel is an outside pick for the Rumble. Just thinking outside of the box. She'd certainly be someone I would put as the outside chance. Why the hell not? Ray says, will you be buying 2K23? I'm thinking about it. Depends on the advancement for GM mode. Jill says, what happened to Gable Steveson? He was at Angle's party, then went missing. Well, maybe he found the story was a bit crap, so he just moved on. Alyssa says, I'm getting sick of the Bray Wyatt story. We need something we need. It's getting boring now. Cool. Christos says, got it confirmed by a guy you don't like. I never said that at any point. Never said that at any point. Billy Batty has threatened me on a number of occasions. Never said I don't like him. I don't care enough about him to have an opinion. He's not a big player in my life. When he threatens to physically harm me, I laugh. It's funny. I wouldn't say anything about that, but I do think you should know who you're getting your information from. It's worth thinking about the individuals themselves and whether they're worth your time. Bismo says they got fished in. Chill says Brian Alvarez started it, then disappeared. Never heard from him that night. Also says Billy Batty and Brad Shepard are not real sources. Well, Brad Shepard's gone. Like, full on gone. Yeah, what happened there? Don't worry, Wiggly, don't worry. Again, footnote in my life. They won't make my autobiography, what can I say? Shogun says, thank you for this spoiler warning, Tom. You deliver like always. Sorry to repeat myself, but massive thank you for responding to me all the time. I try and read every comment I can. I can't always, but I try. Jill is saying, please don't follow Ringside News, Slice Wrestling. Pardon me. Slice Wrestling or WrestleVotes as well. Jordan says, well said, Tom. We all support you in the effort you put in. Thank you kindly, Jordan. I appreciate that. JKO says, much respect to you, Tom, for giving people true facts, not trying to just take everyone's money. So glad I found your channel and someone genuine. Thank you, JKO. That's a lovely thing to say. Jill says, have you ever heard of that Rover account? They're horrible too. Yeah, he's tried to attack me a few times, but then he actually reports the exact same thing I report on YouTube a couple of days later. Yeah, fun. Martin says, well said, Tom. As a fellow journalist in Portugal, I'm getting real tired of this freemium so-called journalist desecrate the deontological code of journalism. Christoph says, I've heard it was a guy from Body Slam who first reported the Saudi sale. Don't know if it's true, but whoever did it, shame on this guy. Spent a horrible night as a wrestling fan. Okay, so I believe the initial report was from Reddit, from the user Kermit and then Numbers, the one who a couple of weeks earlier had said that Cody and Ed were returning at Raw. And then people forgot about that because it didn't happen. You have to keep track of everything. Remember. And I do feel it's our duty in this chat. We are the most well-informed chat in wrestling because we remember and we remind each other. Joey says, zero news isn't a real source either. Just clock baits people with his teases. Ed says, for anyone who wants to see Tom not in news modes, check out OLE from yesterday. It was used on Busting Out and it was a good time. By all means, drop a link, Ed. By all means, drop a link. Spiderboss says, I see Raquel in the final four. See PWInsider get credit for the Mercedes Moné news. Sometimes annoys me. Spoiler warning has been given the Mercedes Moné news for months. Yep. You guys know how it is. And I'm okay with it. Thing is, I think it's worth mentioning, if you're not here, you don't get the news. You have to wait a few days, a few weeks at times to actually get the news. Or you can come here. Thank you very much, Shogun, for becoming a channel member. It's a big commitment and I really do appreciate it. Every little does help and every bit of support is something I'm extremely grateful for. We are heading into a Royal Rumble where I'm really aiming high with this one. I'm curious to see how it goes. But I'm really very excited. I really do appreciate that, Shogun. The commitment there to anyone who becomes a member. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Michael says, don't they have a lot of legal hoops to jump through with shareholders before selling a company that's publicly traded? Yes, they do. And in fact, they haven't announced to shareholders in an official meeting yet that they're even selling the company. Yeah. Simon says, Billy Batty said really horrible, disgusting, vile things about Sasha Mercedes on Conan's podcast at the weekend. What a surprise. Carmelina says, you're the best for not caring about the money, but telling the truth. Thank you very much, Carmelina. I'm not going to lie. Money's great. I need to make a living too. It's why I'm so grateful for so many people donating, becoming members, and just helping out in that way. It's a big help to me and really does help me pay my bills and keep my house warm and so on and so forth. And reward my girls when they get rewarded at school and when they've got really good behaviour or when they go like up a set in school and stuff. Happens rarely because they're quite high up already, but it's really nice. And it allows me to look after my family a little bit. So I'm really very appreciative and very grateful of it, especially knowing that, to be blunt, you don't have to. I'm really grateful. There are definitely times when this show has kept me on the straight and narrow, kept me sane a little bit, and kept me alive at times. By which I mean kept me from being homeless. Because I remember the day, it was August. I remember the day when I came into this show and said, yeah, just so everyone knows, just so everyone's fully aware, I've got like a month left in my house. So if I vanish, I do apologise. Like, I will become homeless if I can't get a job in that time. Because I was struggling at the time. There was a lot going on. Because of the pandemic, I had been made redundant. There was just nothing I could do about it. And then, a lot happened. There was a big breakup. And I came in here. I said, look, guys, this is what's happened. I'm trying my best, but if I vanish, I vanish. And the massive outpouring of generosity in that moment was absolutely incredible, and allowed me to pay my rent for that month and keep going for another month in time to get myself employment. I don't think I'd still be in this house. I think I would be homeless if not for this stream. So I really massively appreciate the generosity, and I will keep saying it. I absolutely will keep saying it because it needs to be said. Chill says, the Body Slam writer story's still up. He hasn't deleted it. He hasn't. Rob says, I'm about 60 minutes behind watching this, but I wanted to jump up live, say hey, and you're back in my time machine to catch up on the news. I really appreciate how many of you are doing that lately. Wiggly says, sorry, is Billy Batty an actual name? Yeah, he was on Big Brother in the UK. Hector says, Tom, I don't know if you drink alcohol or not. Would you ever do a stream where you drink when certain things happen, like for the Royal Rumble, or no? Yes, but I would not be able to get drunk on stream. I'd consider it. I get you, Wiggly. Appreciate that. Spiderboss says, Meltzer and SRS get angry when people give you credit for wrestling news. Thank you for spoiler warning for the most accurate wrestling news. Wiggly says, look after your family. The fact you do this outside your regular job and family commitments is huge dedication. I love doing this. When it comes to watching a wrestling show, I pop on here and I just hang out with my friends. It's amazing fun. I love having you guys here. It'd be absolutely amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Ed says, chill. Cassidy is standing by a story that it is done in principle according to them, which is not what they initially reported, but they did clarify, and updated information is something that happens. I want to give the benefit of the doubt there. But also, Ray says, spoiler warning is the best wrestling stream on YouTube. Thank you, Ray. Chill says, Body Slam is standing by a story, haven't deleted it. Gotta respect the stance, to be honest. I mean, yeah. Ray says, do your kids watch wrestling? Sometimes, usually when I am. Shogun says, you deserve it. Thank you, Shogun. Thomas says, would you be up for some drinking rules for the Rumble? Maybe, but once again, I am not going to get drunk on stream. That is not going to happen. It is absolutely not going to happen. For several reasons. First and foremost, the YouTube rules. Like, I am not going to get drunk on stream. That said, we could always create some drinking rules together, make a bit of a party atmosphere. After all, it's the Royal Rumble. Thank you, Chill. It is good company to be in. Good company to be in indeed. Fair enough, Wiggly. I stand corrected. At this point then, we've been live for an hour and 40 minutes. A little longer than I expected, but I had a lot to say. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't. We are doing a huge show for the Royal Rumble, and I definitely want all of you to be here to be a part of it. We are going big, and we are not going home. We have just entered our 3rd year as a streamer on YouTube and on Twitch, and we are not going anywhere. We broke 2,000 subscribers 6 days ago, and since then we have continued to climb. We are on 2,036, so close to 2,050, then onwards and upwards to 2,100. We are going nowhere. So stick around. Good stuff will be around the corner. Darnell says, Tom is the guy. Thank you, sir. Christoph says, your story really to me, Tom. I've been homeless for over 6 months in 2019. Glad it didn't happen to you. The success of your stream is well deserved. Thank you, Christoph. I'm very sorry that happened to you. I'm glad you're doing better. Jill says, spoiler warning leads right into Wrestling Days' watch-alongs. Great TV. Really? Are they live now? Chill. Are they live now? Is Days live as we speak? Because if he is, we can certainly look to get some raids and stuff going. Jill says, I booked my ticket. Thomas says, I'll be there, Tom. Road to WrestleMania starts here. Nat says, year 3, Tom is here. Alyssa says, Cody Rhodes better Bray Wyatt, my opinion. Cool. And Jill will be watching both me and Days at the Rumble in 30 minutes. I will not be live in 30 minutes, but if ever we do go 2 hours, that's something to consider. In the meantime, I'm going to wrap it up there and get myself in bed. After all, I do have work in the morning. Hope everyone enjoys Monday Night Raw. Thank you for the company. Thank you for the chat. And thank you, as always, for being part of the show. We would not be able to go an hour and 40 minutes without so many questions, so many comments, and so many good people. I have been Tom Colohue. You have been fantastic. And I will see you all very soon.